This is Freedom. It's time for the news. I'm Mikhail Baranov in the studio. Hello? On the night of December 5th, Russia once again attacked Ukraine with drones. A total of 137 strike drones of various types were recorded, including Shahed, Gurin, and other models. According to the Ukrainian Air Force Command, the defenders of Ukraine's skies shot down or jammed 80 Russian UAVs using electronic warfare systems. A 12-year-old boy was killed as a result of Russia's attack on the Dnipropetrovsk region. A Russian drone struck an old residential area in the Sinalnikova district. A private house was destroyed. The parents of the child who died were injured. Another person was injured in the Nikopol district. Due to Russian strikes on energy facilities in several regions of Ukraine, there are power outages. This was reported by the Ministry of Energy. Consumers in Vinnytsia, Dnipropetrovsk, Donetsk, and Odesa regions have been left without power. Restoration work is ongoing at the damaged sites. Ukrainian defense forces eliminated 1,240 Russian occupiers in a single day. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Russian army losses since the start of the full-scale war have exceeded 1,178,000 soldiers. In addition, the military destroyed one armored combat vehicle, 34, artillery systems, 2 multiple launch rocket systems, 1 aircraft, and 96 units of automotive and special equipment. A total of 167 combat engagements were recorded on the front line over the past day. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the situation remains tense in the Pokrovsk direction. There, Defense Forces fighters repelled 52 Russian attacks. Another 19 enemy assaults were repelled in the Alexandrovsk sector, 16 in the Konstantinovsk sector, and 12 on the Guliai-Pol bridgehead. As military experts note, due to the counteroffensive actions of the Ukrainian army, the Russian objective to encircle the Pokrovsk-Myrnograd group has failed. They did not succeed.
This was not achieved specifically because of the situation in the north. Moreover, in the north, the Russian forces are currently facing a complete and utter rout from that strategically important Dobropilya salient of the Russian army, where they had previously attempted to advance in 2 distinct directions, and a natural continuation of the counterattacks by the defense forces, by those units that are eliminating it, are strikes on the flank and rear of the 51st Army Group, which is trying to encircle the city from the north. Our military forces have primarily concentrated on strategically holding the northern part of the city in order to keep a crucial corridor open and accessible from Myrnograd.
On Thursday night, Ukrainian forces struck the Syzran oil refinery and the seaport in Russia's Krasnodar region. This information has already been confirmed by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. In addition, the High Command clarified the results of the recent strike on the Saratov oil refinery. There, the primary oil treatment unit was damaged. As of early December, the plant had completely halted primary crude oil processing and is operating at less than 50% of its designed capacity.
The Temryuk seaport in the Krasnodar region. The Russian Federation ships liquefied natural gas, as well as chemical, bulk, and loose cargo, and the port is involved in supplying the Russian occupation army. A strike on the facility was recorded, followed by a fire. The extent of the damage is being clarified. In addition, a UAV strike was recorded at the Syzran oil refinery in Russia's Samara region, followed by a fire. According to preliminary information, one of the refinery's units was hit. From a statement by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine on Telegram.
Ukrainian intelligence operatives destroyed 8 targets belonging to the Russian Federation Army in temporarily occupied Crimea. According to the main intelligence directorate, drones from the Special Unit Primary struck a Su-24 frontline bomber and an antenna. In the radio-transparent dome, 2 Podlet radar stations, a Casta radar, and a UAV were hit. An Ariane, as well as a freight train and a Ural. This is a military vehicle. All of this equipment and hardware belonging to Russian forces was destroyed over the past 2 weeks. The United Kingdom is ready to transfer more than $10 billion in frozen Russian assets to Ukraine. This was reported by The Times, citing sources. According to the publication, these funds will cover most of Ukraine's financial needs for 2 years. This money can be used either for defense, if the war continues, or for the country's reconstruction if peace is reached. Slovenia will join the Pearl program, and by the end of the year, will allocate about 43 million euros to strengthen Ukraine's air defense. This was announced by Defense Minister Denis Šmihal following a meeting with his Slovenian counterpart. In addition, the heads of the defense ministries agreed to explore the possibilities of joint industrial projects within the European ADIP and SAFE initiatives, as well as under the Danish model. They also discussed a number of other important issues. Russia planned to disrupt new contributions to Ukraine's defense capability, but they failed to do so, said Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha. He reported on a very eventful diplomatic week, particularly on the results of the Ukraine-NATO summit in Brussels.
The visit to NATO headquarters brought about $1 billion in additional contributions to Pearl, and 5 more countries joined. There were also 8 additional contributions from countries that were already participating. As of today, 21 countries are participating in Pearl, for a total commitment amount of $4,180 million. Andriy Sybiha, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Facebook.
Today is International Volunteer Day. Volodymyr Zelensky congratulated those who don't remain indifferent and help Ukraine. Defense is based on unity and mutual support, the president noted.
From the very first days of the war in 2014, from the very first days of the full-scale invasion on February 24, 2022, the defense of Ukraine has never been in the minority. Millions of people have joined in the defense of our independence, our lives. And it is precisely in this unity that Ukrainians have held back the Russian occupiers. Beyond the front line. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
Odesa, for the second year now, a volunteer workshop has been operating where drones for Ukrainian soldiers are repaired or upgraded. At first, the volunteers would get together in their free time on weekends, but now they try to meet much more often. See how Odesa residents are helping the front? Coming up next.
In this workshop in Odesa, volunteers repair and upgrade FPV drones. The idea to create the workshop was proposed by Odesa native Ilya Andreev. At first, they assembled drones from scratch, but later decided to focus on repairs.
A lot of people come to us who don't know how to do this kind of work. Now the team is formed and everyone has learned, but at first people had the desire but no experience.
At first, the volunteers would get together on weekends. That's where the project's name, Weekend Drones, comes from. But there were so many requests from the military that now they have to meet more often. Most of the team members are people without specialized education.
I don't have a technical degree, but I worked in IT as a front-end developer. I joined because it interested me. Before this, I had never soldered, but I started to get the hang of it, so I decided to keep doing it. Because I can be useful.
The military themselves send UAVs to us for repair or upgrades. On average, that's several dozen drones a month.
In front of us is a half-assembled drone. It all starts with us assembling the frame first. In our volunteer center, the responsibilities are divided so that some people assemble the frames and others solder the motors. Everything starts with the frame, then the motors are attached to it, and our flight stack is installed. Basically, it's a semi-finished product. After that, either Ilya or I sit down to program the drone.
Each drone takes a different amount of time. It all depends on the task at hand and the skills of the person doing it.
It all depends on the skills of the person assembling it. Someone who's been doing this for a while can assemble a lot of drones in a day. We explain everything to the newcomers. There's really nothing too complicated here. Basically, anyone can do this. Beginners just need a little more time.
Since the project began, volunteers have assembled more than 200 drones, including kamikaze drones, bombers, fiber optic drones, and anti-aircraft drones. They have also repaired and upgraded about 1,500 FPV drones. UAVs from this workshop are successfully operating on the front lines, destroying equipment and personnel of the Russian occupiers.
A new meeting between the Ukrainian and American delegations has concluded in Miami. Ukraine was represented in the negotiations by the Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council, Rustem Umerov, and the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Andriy Ignatov. Representing the U.S. President were a special envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner. The conversation lasted about 5 hours. The results and details of the meeting have not yet been disclosed. Russia's war against Ukraine will eventually be resolved. Donald Trump stated this the day before, during the Christmas tree lighting ceremony in Washington. The U.S. president once again emphasized that both sides are losing many soldiers, so the war needs to end as soon as possible. And the United States is making every possible effort to achieve this.
We are establishing peace across the globe at levels no one has ever seen before. We have already ended 8 wars and are looking for a way to resolve another one. Russia against Ukraine. I believe that in the end, we will achieve this. We are working hard.
In turn, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance is announcing good news about the peace process in the coming weeks. According to him, the situation is not at the finish line yet, but there has already been progress. Setbacks in resolving the war between Russia and Ukraine. Vance called it the biggest disappointment for the White House, but emphasized that they remain optimistic.
Subscribe to The Gaze and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.